Awesome. Well, happy Tuesday, December 20th, everyone. I'm Nate Boot. I'm a developer advocate for OpenSearch, and I'm here to guide us through our community meeting today. Righty then. Well, let's get moving then. I guess we've got some good content today, along with these announcements. 2.4.1 has been released. It includes some bug fixes, infrastructure, documentation, and maintenance updates. Latest version of the 1.3 line introduces Windows 64-bit distributions on OpenSearch and OpenSearch dashboards. It also includes some bug fixes, infrastructure, and maintenance updates. And if you've seen our opensearch.org website lately, we've got a little section for community feedback. We're still collecting feedback about OpenSearch and what we can do to improve it. So please do take a few minutes and respond to that survey to let us know what we could be doing to serve you better and to make our product more helpful for you. And with that, I think I am going to already turn it over to our presenters. We've got Lucáš here from Ivan, Andriy is going to talk about the Apache Flink OpenSearch connector, and also Joshua Bright is here to present an RFC for chaining / composite monitors and alerting. Should be a nice trio of content. And it looks like Chris has, as usual, set a speed record for the links that we needed. With that, let's go on to our community meeting. We've got, I'll go ahead and move on to the next slide and hand it over to Lucáš.
Okay, so let me share my screen real quick.
I'm going to go ahead and mute and take my mug off the camera.
Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Lucáš Vlcek. I work for Ivan, and I'm the main contributor of Prometheus exported plugin for OpenSearch. And just yesterday, I posted a new announcement that this plugin has been released for both the new releases of OpenSearch. So maybe I will take this opportunity to say just a couple of words about this plugin. So basically what it does is that it exposes metrics of OpenSearch in Prometheus format. So basically it introduces new REST endpoint, and then you can set up your Prometheus server, point it to this REST endpoint, and it will give you these metrics. I can show you very quickly what basically it can mean. So this is some slide that I prepared for different presentation, but this gives you very high level picture of what's really going on. So if we have a OpenSearch cluster, we can typically, it's probably used in context of Kubernetes clusters. So you have some pods with OpenSearch processes running on it. Then you have one or maybe more Prometheus clusters. Typically, when you have a Prometheus cluster, you also maybe running something like Alert Manager, and maybe you are using also Grafana to view the metrics. This is something that I would also like to quickly speak about. Just recently, I posted another announcement on the forum that says that the OpenSearch mixin has been raised. It's a raise candidate 1. For those that do not know what mixin means, it's basically a bundle of Grafana dashboard and Prometheus alerts. So this is what I would like to just clarify, that this repository actually contains both of them. So we have a branch of main and v1.3, which is the Java plugin for OpenSearch, and then there is a new branch which actually contains completely different code, but it's related. So this is the mixing that contains the Grafana dashboard and Prometheus alerts, and it's basically managed by something called JSON bundler. I do not want to go to details. You can read it here, but that's basically it. I think there is one more thing I would like to mention, and that's specifically with this release of the Prometheus plugin. What I have seen is that basically they were driven by the community members. I was just, busy enough to, merging their pull request and then going through the release process. So it's very cool to see that that people like to contribute to this plugin, and they as soon as new OpenSearch is released, I'm just expecting pull requests, and they are coming, which is cool. And maybe the last thing, I also think that Obster, who implements their own Prometheus, their own Kubernetes operator for OpenSearch, I think they are also looking at this plugin. They probably want to use it. I've seen some tickets opened, and they are working on it, which is also awesome. So that's the introduction to this plugin. So I hope you can look at it. I will stay until the end if you have any questions, and I will be happy to answer them. Yeah, that's it. So with that, I can hand it over to maybe Andriy, or back to you, Nate.
Sure. Yeah, either is fine with me. I'm curious. Is that exporter pretty easy to get started with? That's Prometheus is not something I've used before, and now I'm actually curious.
Okay, so
pretty easy to get going with?
That's a very good question. I mean, it depends in what context do you use it. Typically, if you want to set up Prometheus correctly, there are several steps that you need to do. You should, if you are installing it on Linux and you really want to use it in production environment, you should do things correctly, and it requires a couple of steps. But if you just want to try it, for example, what I did is that I used Brew and install it. Then you can install it on Linux, even on Linux, because you can use Brew on Linux as well, not only on Macs. So
Gotcha.
Actually, this is what I do. This is what I do in the continuous integration environment that is running on Ubuntu, and it first installs the Brew, and then from that it installs the Prometheus. For testing, it's enough. Yes.
Gotcha. So as simple as Brew install.
Yes, basically it's like that. I think I also documented in the GitHub pages. So if you go to the mixing branch, you will find it there. But of course, if you are running something like Kubernetes, there are different, absolutely completely different ways how you will install the Prometheus into that cluster. It's completely different. But the dashboard and the Prometheus alerts and everything is the same, basically.
Awesome. Well, thanks for that. I'm going to spend some time playing. Nothing like having a new set of Legos in front of me to disassemble and assemble as I see fit. Well, that's great. Thank you very much, Lucas. And I think we can, who did we have next here? It looks like it's time for Andriy to tell us all about Apache Flink OpenSearch connector.
Thank you very much, Nate.
Quite welcome.
I will share my screen.
Get my
I guess you can see my browser, right, guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
It's a little small.
So it's small. Oh, I don't even know how to increase it. Can I do like that? Is it better?
Yeah, it's better.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much, guys. So hello, everyone. My name is Andriy, and I work for the same company as Lucáš, Avon. And today I would like to share the updates on Apache Flink OpenSearch connector. The work we started on this connector is probably close to 1 year. So the pull request we sent was in January 27th. Still this year. And by coincidence, we got a lot of good feedback from Apache Flink community, the new process, new Flink connector, external repositories, and everything related to that. We went through all this process up to the end, and now we do have separate repository which is hosted by Apache Flink community under the Apache basically repository names. It's called Flink Connector OpenSearch, and we are very, very close to get the first release, which is 1.0 RC1. The vote is still ongoing. It was sent on last Friday. It takes some time for Apache people to vote on that, but we are very, very confident the release will be out. And by and large, the work is very, very inspired by existing connector for Elasticsearch. We definitely update everything to be compatible with OpenSearch, but we are very happy to announce that this work is culminated with the first release, which is about to be ready for everyone to consume, I hope this week. I guess this is all I wanted to say about that. Chris, Nate, do you want to add something?
Oh, I was just saying I'm not even sure what Apache Flink is, so Ryan looks like pasted the answer for me.
Oh yeah, that's basically the data stream, data processing, not even framework, I would say, is the infrastructure for processing data at scale. I guess people who are in Flink know about this very well.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Any questions, we'll be happy to answer. I will stay available.
Sweet. Thank you for that. Joshua, are you ready to talk to us about your RFC? Fantastic. I suspect you might be muted.
Button.
Yeah,
Exactly.
there you go.
Yeah, I was struggling there. Before I jump into the RFC, I'll do some shameless promotion about integrating the work that we're doing on integrating and augmenting alert findings data, as well as anomaly detection data within visualizations. The team is continuing that work. We've incorporated some of the feedback from the community as it pertains to concerns about performance, like if a number of people within the organization have the ability to create alerts right off of dashboards, that there may be some concerns about performance and how do we kind of manage that. So I do appreciate that feedback. We want the feedback to keep on coming. The release is still baking, so there's still time for additional feedback and thoughts on how we're going about the augmentation of visualizations with alerts and anomaly detection. It's pretty important work because this is going to help set the stage for what a dashboard integration will look like with plugins - extensions. So we're kind of cutting our teeth on this handshake between what's been formerly been a plugin versus dashboard architecture, and we're now starting to merge that in together. So I know that there are a number of people that have custom plugins out in the community. We'll be looking at this work as kind of the foundation of what that integration would look like with a dashboard view that can extend itself out to admin panel or other areas of dashboard integration. So looking forward to this work as it matures, as well as feedback and thoughts around some of the use cases that you have with integrating your own feature functionality into dashboards. Cool. Now moving over, actually, I guess, are there any questions before I jump over?
Yeah, if you don't mind me running my mouth a little bit, is this meant to, I've been going through the anomaly detection process a little bit, and I've noticed you kind of have to define your detector a little bit beforehand, and there's some front work. Is the intent of this to kind of mix all of that initial setup in with a dashboard? If you see an anomalous entry, or is it just making sure that your anomalies show up on your dashboards the way you like?
I appreciate you running your mouth, Nate, always. It's a great question. The core benefit that we see for this specific use case is that visualizations contain context. The context such as index, aggregations, things like that. All of that stuff is already set up. So it's easier to generate and create a detector or a monitor from visualization because you already have that context. So it makes the process of managing detectors and monitors much easier.
Awesome. So that actually strikes me as very helpful because I've been trying to give myself a decent education in that. And I noticed there's a lot of setup before the fact. You have to already know what you're looking for and what you want to fire an alert on, rather than, maybe looking at time series data and being able to click on it and go, hey, that's an anomaly right there. Set me up a detector for that. So that sounds awesome. I'll probably have a few things to say in your RFC here.
So
Anyways.
yeah, like you could imagine that you're a team that's responsible for a series of nodes, server tiers, or even in a portion of an application, like maybe you're a service level agile team. You have best practices, right? You have the dashboard set up, and best practices, you also have alerts set up. Wouldn't it be nice to be able to overlay the alerts on top of the dashboards? That's where we're getting at here. So all of your favorite dashboards that you have come to love, that you have set up in your runbooks, or other types of monitoring documentation, you can now marry the associated alerts with those dashboards and have those alerts or detectors overlaid. So really, really cool stuff. Looking forward to it. I know that there are a lot of folks that do use the API to manage their systems. So it's not as cool for those who use the API solely. This is definitely a UI focused effort. Awesome. Okay, cool. So now we'll move over to alert chaining or composite monitors. So as the team has kind of dove into security analytics, man, there's just really particular use cases within the security realm of needing to take into consideration multiple types of monitor results to build out a very well-defined alert. I know that there are those in the community who have mentioned that alerts can be fatiguing because they're set at a more generic level. Chaining would be an opportunity for us to combine the results of multiple monitors and be able to siphon the findings of those monitors in a way that is more consumable and more refined. And I was driving with my son this morning on the way to daycare and trying to articulate, like, what does this mean? Like, what does alert chaining mean? And then it's explain it to a 3-year-old. I talked about how what we do on the weekends is we make waffles, and one of the monitors that we have for waffles is a timer, right? So we have a timer that tells us when the waffle's done, but depending on the batter that we use, things that we throw in there, maybe some blueberries or something like that, that can vary based on that kind of timer. So it would be nice to be able to combine the timer, which normally would tell us when the waffle is done, combine that with another sensor of crispiness, right? So you have the ability to combine 2 different monitoring types to get you a more accurate result or notification when the waffle is done. So that that was a fun exercise to try to break that down for my son. Hopefully that helps also kind of ground what alert chaining or composite monitors, what the idea is here. So that's kind of the idea. There's a couple of other examples. One example would be you see CPU usage increasing dramatically for one monitor, and then you have another monitor that is showing traffic, and the traffic is cut up by IP address or geolocation. So you could consider the findings of CPU usage and only show me or give me a notification when CPU usage is increasing, as well as when the traffic is increasing, but only for a certain region, right? There are other very specific use cases within security that are kind of like stepwise functions of this is how an attack occurs. Alert chaining would offer you the ability to create multiple monitors and have a single view into those very well-defined use cases. So there is an RFC, I think Chris has probably already thrown it up into the chat, that talks about what we're thinking, what the kind of workflow would look like for a composite monitor. I don't anticipate that we're going to jump into the nitty-gritty details because everyone has just kind of seen this for the first time. But what would be good as a community is it would be great to hear about different use cases where you see an opportunity to refine monitors within your own ecosystem to generate more signal, less noise for the alerts that you have set up. Getting that feedback and kind of incorporating that will make sure that as we're building out something like this in the future, that we're taking into consideration your use cases. So I'll pause right there and just see, does this fundamentally feel like this would be useful to folks? And then are there specific use cases that we should be mindful of that are in your environment where you would see benefit or even not benefit of being able to chain or composite monitors together for alerting purposes?
I think in the observability space, that would be a very helpful tool because there's lots of different things that are dependent on other things. And so chaining those alerts and monitors together probably gives you a bit of a leg up when trying to look for log entries that could be potentially dangerous, but only if they're paired with another kind of alert or if certain things are happening at the same time. And so that seems like pretty useful to me. I did have to remove a griefer from our room while you were presenting, so some people might have missed out on some of that. I do apologize for that, everyone.
So I have a very basic question for you. Okay.
Hey, Stavros.
Hi, Josh. So the monitors, these act as filters, is that correct? So only the events that are observed by monitor one get passed through to another monitor. What if I want to say something like, oh, if I'm seeing high CPU, did you notice in the past hour that anyone ran the thus and such, or the thus and such event happened?
I can take that question. So it's not just that you will only get to filter data from one monitor to be used in the second monitor. You always have the option of, defining a monitor which looks at an independent set of data. What guarantee we give is that the second monitor will run after the first monitor and will always have access to whatever findings.
Okay, that's great. Okay, so it's not filtering, it's
Yeah,
it's,
effectively you can do joins also. You can join
Right.
different data sets and
Great.
analysis on that.
thank you.
That seemed like a general use case. Did you have something specific in mind though? Just to kind of add a little bit of,
No, I'm
detail.
not familiar with the space, so I'm not sure what create findings, for example, means. Is so that was what I needed to know, that it's not a filter, it's marking certain things, and then downstream monitors have access to the full stream and can look back in time or whatever.
Yeah.
I have just a comment, and it's really interesting, and many companies have solutions, including in Grafana, by the way. You can do you can actually say this happened and this happened and that happened. Keep going. You can even have or this and this or that. So in Grafana, it's being used. In Logs.io, we have a form of chained alerts as well. I can say that one of the challenges that I would like to that I would suggest thinking about is the user experience. It's very hard to explain what these alert chaining is. It's even harder to design something that's going to make sense when they're creating them. So it's a challenge, and I think it's good that working with the community is probably like the best way to tackle that. But I would say that's where the real hard part is. The unexpected events that will arise from chaining to alerts, and you're like, I didn't expect that to alert, and then you have to explain why somewhere in the chain. Anyway, that's all.
No, that's great. And thanks. I'll pay you later for that comment. You can see you kind of teed up the way that I wanted to close out as well. That we want, certainly as part of this, but I think overall on alerting, we'd like to take a step back and just kind of look at the workflow. So we hope to tee up research, user research within the first quarter of next year. And so we can kind of take a step back as a community and look at, how can we improve the, core offering of alerts. Chaining is going to be one of those things. It's going to be in there. I think payload size and details within the payload are the thing that we're eager to get feedback on. But the concept of monitors, triggers, there's a lot of components within alerting that make it extensible and really easy for those who are very familiar with those concepts. But to your point on chaining, as you kind of like on the continuum of extensibility to usability, there's a nice balance that I think is really important. So for those who are interested in alerting overall, certainly within the context of chaining, I'd love to get your details if you're interested in participating in a upcoming user study. But thanks for the heads up on some of the problems that you all have seen as part of the creation flow, as well as the troubleshooting piece. The troubleshooting piece came to mind on my side as well. Okay, if there aren't any other questions, if folks don't want to talk in the community discussion, always love to have comments in the RFC, as well as feel free to reach out to me directly.
Well, thanks for sharing that with everyone, Josh. Okay, well, that was our third topic for the day. Lacking any further questions or anything like that, I guess we can move ourselves into open office hours.
Nate, I think I saw some questions regarding the Prometheus plugin. I'm happy to address them.
Oh yeah, did we miss some?
Somewhere in
Maybe,
the barrage of
yeah.
odd.
Maybe something I would like to just very quickly address.
Please.
So, yeah, if I can. Okay. So basically, there are two standard ways how you can integrate any kind of system that by default do not expose its own metrics in Prometheus format. So obviously, one way is that you somehow improve the system itself so that it exposes its metric in that format. The other way is that you run some, it's called sidecar, so some small process next to that system that is able to, pull the metrics from the system and then translate it into the Prometheus and provide it to the Prometheus. So those are like two different systems. Both have, its own pros and cons. So the plugin that I've been speaking about is basically the first one. It's extending directly the OpenSearch and adding a new REST endpoint. And maybe a little bit about the history of that plugin. It is explained in the GitHub README page, but I will just say that it's not implementation on a greenfield. It has some history to it because before joining to Avon, I was working with Red Hat and we were trying to use Elasticsearch, and we basically joint effort of some plugin for Elasticsearch that was doing this thing, and we were contributing it to that plugin. And then when I joined Avon, and basically this OpenSearch became a thing, I migrated this plugin. So that's to answer all those questions that are related to that. So I think I've covered those questions. Let me see if there's anything else.
Well, the basic question was what's the difference between that and the plugin that is what's inside this other repo, right?
Okay, yeah. So that's the Alberto's repository. So yeah, Alberto, was doing it first, and then I contacted basically Alberto because I knew that, hey, Avon is now ready to invest into leading this plugin, and this is we made some agreement, or I asked him, hey, we can invest into that plugin, and this is basically what we do right now. So yeah, that's basically it.
Oh, okay. That's good to know. Any?
Yeah, by the way, I think there are no updates to Alberto's fork.
Yeah, that's true. It's since version 1. That's
yeah, exactly. So this is we started releasing it from specific release, and Alberto is no longer releasing that fork. So yeah, that's it.
All right, that tracks. Is there any? There were repositories that were moved into OpenSearch, repositories that are created outside of OpenSearch, like the Kubernetes operator. Is this also something you want to keep in Avon? Is it something you want to move into the OpenSearch project repo?
Oh, that's a very very nice. I did not know that the Kubernetes related repositories were moved to OpenSearch.
Oh, no, they weren't. I'm saying that that's like an example. Like the Kubernetes operator is still, it's inside Opster. They don't intend to move it.
Oh, okay, okay.
From what I understood from them.
I don't have answer to that because I think in the beginning I was basically asking the original Amazon engineers what their point of view is on that, and I think it probably needs to take some time. It's my opinion is that if we learn that the community is strong enough around that plugin, maybe it can be included there. I don't know. Nate, you can jump in.
Okay, well, I'll do that. I don't think I have an answer to the question, but
I'm from a standpoint of an engineer who wants to put it in, implement it. So if I look at, or there's two options, right? It can go either to Prometheus, right? We can contribute into the Prometheus repo, which is where the Elasticsearch Prometheus plugin exists. It can be inside OpenSearch as well, or it can be in Ivan. Either, it doesn't, right? The issue is like who's maintaining it. And in terms of if an engineer talks to his manager or to like the architect, he says, this is the plugin I want to switch with the Prometheus plugin, Prometheus repo Elasticsearch plugin. And then, this one's from a company that's not Prometheus or OpenSearch. So the question is like, how long is that going to be maintained for? And all these questions arise. Whereas if you had like Prometheus there or OpenSearch, it would be like, yeah, sure, of course, we're using OpenSearch, we should use this. I'm saying it from that standpoint, and not to say anything about like anything, not to take away from any of the amazing successes Ivan is having. I'm talking purely on a standpoint of someone who doesn't know Ivan and does know that they're using OpenSearch and using Prometheus. So it's like, that's what I'm saying, and it's totally fine to take either way, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think we will see what the future holds. That's basically it.
Cool.
Awesome. Well, thanks for all the participation today. I love seeing the questions coming and going. Let's see if no one has any other questions, or we don't have to remove any more griefers. I'm going to move us on to open QA. If anyone just has any random topic for the good of the order, a problem that might be useful to hash up in front of everyone, or any just random questions, I think we're at your service. We are your humble servants.
Would be cool to have like a roadmap. But there were some bug fixes and stuff. Was there already a meetup about that? Bug fixes in 2.4 or 0.1?
I don't think so. We'd have to check the release notes. I think we covered any bug fixes in the release notes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, I know that's a real generic answer. That's my way of saying I don't know off the top of my head.
So it's like read the manual. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, sorry. No,
Okay.
I actually hate that response, so I apologize beforehand.
Yeah, all good.
Cool. All right. Well, any other questions from anyone? Should we take a break and stretch, fill up our coffee cups or anything?
We could go through the release notes and see if anyone has questions about it.
I'm wondering if
It's more like a roadmap thing. Sometimes things are like in the, they said, okay, now you have to stop somewhere and say, okay, this is 2.4.1. These
Gotcha.
are issues that were just ongoing. So
I
kind of
know
to
that
see where that is.
on the GitHub repo for OpenSearch, we have a project in there that has our roadmap. Let's see if I can find this here. Oh, yeah, Ryan beat me to it. So I can't remember off the top of my head whether it was project 1 or project 13. Oh, OpenSearch distributions is 13. Let's check project 1.
Yeah, project 1 is the main. The main timeline.
Gotcha. So I'm seeing 33 things under 2.4.0. I imagine anything would fall under there. Let's see here. Everyone seeing my browser window?
I see it.
Yeah. What's the difference with project 13.1? How do I get to these views, and what's the meaning of them?
Oh, let's see. I'll take you to it here. So if we go to the OpenSearch project, and then the main OpenSearch repo. And then if we go to projects, projects are like collections of issues.
If I may,
Please.
go to opensearch.org on the main front page. You'll see over on the right-hand sidebar underneath, you'll see download OpenSearch and then OpenSearch project on GitHub. Right below that, you'll see view the project roadmap. And that should be a direct link into the main project roadmap for what's being planned in future releases as we work towards them.
So that I could follow. I was just wondering about specifically where in the URL it says project/1, and then you sent one that has like /13 or something like that on it.
Yeah,
The differences.
GitHub likes to assign a arbitrary number at the very end of that. Like I have one for our project website right now that assigns some weird number at the end. So
project 13 is for the various distributions of OpenSearch. I think we were originally using this to track our progress for creating an Ubuntu package and a Windows distribution and various other Linux flavor specific work. Yeah, see, this is talking about the Deb distribution for ARM64 architecture.
yeah,
So I actually do not know off the top of my head who maintains this or who to complain to if it is incorrect. But I imagine we could probably leave comments on any of the individual issues. So this last updated November 1st.
Super
yeah,
secretive project 13. It's like,
yeah, it's G13 classified. So yeah, the OpenSearch project roadmap, I would refer to project 1 just to break it down by minor version and major.
Okay.
What I'm not seeing is 2.4.1. I'm not seeing the tag on here.
main releases are out on the roadmap.
Gotcha. So nothing specific to 2.4.1 then.
No.
Where would we catch our release notes for that then? This is actually a good question. We should work through this.
The release notes should be within GitHub.
Yeah. So if you navigate to download OpenSearch, see at the top right hand corner, you'll see version 2. Yeah. Click release notes. You'll always find a link to that specific version's release notes on the download page.
If anyone has any strong feelings about that, I'm always happy to move that link somewhere else so it's more prevalent.
Pretty standard.
Thing is that it's kind of hard to tell. So when we're in anything that's like ongoing under 2.4.0 in the roadmap, we could expect that it is designated for 2.4.2 and up. That's the assumption.
I don't know the answer to that, and we can probably circle back around with an answer out in the community. I don't know the answer to that, and that's it.
Yeah, we should probably talk about. Let's see. Is there anyone from the engineering team on who maintains this? I'm guessing that's a no. So I know.
I guess, yeah. Sorry, I can just say that release notes were sampled before build, but before the release. Sorry, but for projects, I don't think we there are like some people who have rights to update the project page. So I don't know how these issues are being moved between 2.4, 2.4.1, 2.2.
I mean, there's a tag for 2.4.
Yeah.
That
Like
is
2.4.0,
correct,
It's the
but
tag.
and that would probably put them in the place.
yeah, but not in the roadmap. Yes.
Let me see if we can take that as an
Yeah.
action item for an explanation on that, Amitai.
I'm glad I brought it up.
Yeah.
So yeah, it looks like these are the bug fixes, ML Commons, these 3 pull requests, OpenSearch neural search. OpenSearch dashboards reporting plugin, a couple of fixes there. OpenSearch SQL, upgrade of Jackson, integration tests fix. So nothing there too interesting for end users. Another fix. These likely refer to the infrastructure fixes. Continuous integration for AD. Performance benchmark. Well, anyways, let me paste this link for everyone to go through at their convenience. And it looks like we are maintaining the new release notes pretty feverishly here. So I'm willing to bet we can just expect new entries to show up there. But Chris, I think you're right. We should take this up because we're a pretty savvy crowd in here. And if we're not able to just kind of look at the page and go, all right, here's what's new in the newest version.
We can see that. I think the question is really like when we're working towards 2.4.2, where do we see that as a community? Right?
I see. Like, what's the code payload for the upcoming 2.4.2?
Yeah. So I think we owe some research on that one with the engineer. Yeah. Kind of, because we have a roadmap, right? We have the roadmap for 2.5.0. a major release, but is there a way that the community can say, okay, I get that, but what are we working on for the next patch release or maintenance release? So we can take that. A lot of people are on holiday right now, so I don't know how fast we'll get that answer, but we can take that one and research it for the community.
Yeah, because I'm not even seeing a tag or a branch for 2.4.2 yet.
No.
Okay, so there's some system that we don't quite understand what's going on.
Well, looking at the release schedule, 2.50 is coming out in January, so it may be that there is no plan 2.4.2.
Okay.
And it may be that looking at the schedule, I don't see minor or patch releases listed at all in the schedule. So it may be patch releases on the 2.x branch are unexpected bug fixes and things that have to be slipped in.
Exactly. Yeah, it might be just as general as an answer as that. We don't like we're building towards 2.5, but maybe some things come up and we go, we really need a 2.4.2 out. So let's build towards that. But yeah, we'll figure that out and get something for the crowd.
Oh, there's someone in the waiting room. Do we dare let them in?
No. I would say that if there's a tag suddenly for 2.4.2, then like I would expect it to appear in the roadmap on its own. Like, oh, here we have this another minor release.
Yeah, I don't know that they put that on the roadmap ever, where they put in the maintenance build. I'll have to get that as part of the answer as well.
Yeah, I guess it's like we never did that for a project page. We try to put it on issues on fixes, but roadmap is never updated for small releases for partial releases.
All right, that's also a stance. Like we could say we don't need it. I'm not sure how, like if it's even like remotely painful to add. I'd say it's not really necessary, but it's a question because someone might. I do get questions like, so what's going on in the next release?
Right.
I don't really know.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I think Daryl is spot on here, saying maybe we can have an update from engineering in the next meeting on the topic. Oh, I wanted to remind everyone, now that I have the chance, we're going to skip, what was it, Chris? The next community meeting we're going to skip due to the time of the year.
We'll have the next one would have been on the 3rd, but we all know probably not a lot of people coming to work that day. So we'll have the next community meeting on January 17th. I'm working on the events pages right now, and I'll have those out in the next day or two, so everyone can add those to their calendars.
Awesome.
And then just as a reminder, our security group, our security engineering team has made their triaging public. So every Monday at noon Pacific, you can go And I think it's very topical to your discussion, Amitai. You can go and take part in their triaging of the security area of OpenSearch. Working to get more engineering teams to do that publicly. I can't make any promises, but we're working on it. I'll say that. And those are also events out on our opensearch.org/events page as well. I'll be building those out for the January, February in the next few days. So yeah, come help us triage the security part of OpenSearch on Mondays.
Yeah, come as you are. Anyone is welcome.
Yeah.
Unless you're there to grieve, then stay home. Awesome.
Thank you everyone for a fantastic 2022. We really appreciate everyone. Happy New Year's.
Yeah, it feels like OpenSearchCon feels like just a couple of weeks ago. It's still like fresh in my mind. I still feel like I'm staring at those projector screens. Yeah, really, we crammed a lot into a year. So, and that's all because of you guys. That's no small feat to generate that kind of community. Yeah. So thank you. I appreciate that from everyone.
We're already planning for OpenSearchCon next year.
Rad.
Looking forward to seeing everyone there. Details to follow, of course.
Before we end the meeting, I just wanted to say, I only just now found out that Einstein was a real person. All this time, I thought he was a theoretical physicist.
Oh, nice.
Oh, frowny face. Oh. All right, fail.
The participants counter just dropped.
All right, I'll get a better one for next time.
Yeah, I definitely need one better.
Take care, everyone.
Yeah, thanks, everybody.